Well, we're going to try this. So this is your old friend BHAGWAN. We have been doing this series on trying to help young ladies, or old ladies for that matter, who've been raped, and maybe give you a better handle on how to bring your life back into some kind of order. And the last 5 tapes have been aimed at dealing with the headset of it. Now we're going to shift. We're going to talk about what you can do in the event that you're actually being assaulted. Someone has come upon you and they're trying to molest you, more than likely with the outcome of you getting raped and just having a lifelong shit experience that's going to last forever. So maybe one of the things that we could do is that we could give you some things that you can do in the moment. Somebody's grabbed you. What the hell do you do? You know, we talked about the idea that most people don't have any real self-defense skills. And women pretty much intuitively understand that if some guy grabs her, there's a real chance that from a strength standpoint, she's at a major disadvantage. I mean, some of you ladies are just wisps, 100, 110, 115 pounds a person. Some guy, even 150, 60-pound guy, considering that men are usually stronger, you're just at a serious disadvantage. And number 2, you're probably in a panic mode. And when you're in a panic mode, you don't have all your faculties working for you. So what I'm trying to share with you in this set is some things that you can do starting right now to prepare you for that potentiality that could happen to you, because it happens so often that the odds are that there's just a chance it could happen to you. So maybe what we can do is look at ways that we can help you have a better chance of survival. Because once the deed is done, then you got all that baggage you have to deal with that's associated with that violation that happened to you. Whereas if you can put up a good fight, even if you get hurt, you still won't have that ultimate violation going on. And a sidebar on that is you're going to piss him off. Hopefully, that's one of the things that's going to buy you some time, because if you can get him a little bit rattled, he's going to lose his focus. And now he's going to start worrying about, well, what do I do here? This is not going the way I planned it. He's planning on grabbing your ass and doing what he wants and discarding you. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And your job is to absolutely not let that happen. So let's go on a premise that you're not physically strong enough to go toe-to-toe with this guy. So then that shouldn't be your battle plan. You got to look at the dynamic of what's happening when a predator closes in on his victim, and what's happening in everybody's head. He's trying to get the job done crisply, you creating as little disturbance as possible. That's why the guys with weapons, they're telling you, don't make any noise. They don't want to stir anything up. So since a lot of rapes don't involve weapons, this is more directed at those. If you got some guy who's threatening to shoot you or stab you, you got to give some real serious thought on how hard you want to push this thing to prevent the rape. Because it's a lot better to be raped and live to tell about it than to not live. Or to be so badly maimed that you're just screwed forever, We're trying to avoid that screwed forever syndrome that occurs when these guys do the deed, So, let's assume that the circumstance we're trying to neutralize is the one where you're grabbed in a not particularly open or available where a lot of people are around, but almost always, unless you're wandering around in the country or in Central Park in New York at 3 o'clock in the morning by yourself. And in that case, you got to seriously ask yourself, are you setting yourself up? Don't do stupid things. It's a shame that you can't have the freedom to do whatever the hell you want as far as going for a stroll in the park. But you got to understand that there are certain places where these kind of predators frequent, because they have things like not a lot of people around going for them. Cover from bushes. Now, I was raised in Chicago. We had a park in our neighborhood on Loomis, on 52nd to 55th and Loomis, called Sherman Park. And when I was a kid, it had beautiful hedges and stuff surrounding the perimeter of the park. They cut all that stuff down. And this is going back to the early 1950s. Remember, I'm born in 42. So we moved to that neighborhood when I was 5 or 6. So that was pretty much my park. Up until then, you're too young to be venturing off on your own. But by the time I was out on my own, Sherman Park was the place where we went. And then one day, all those bushes were gone, and the thing that precipitated that was a couple of girls got raped in a real short period of time, drugged from the sidewalk into those bushes. One would have argued that had they been just on the other side of the street, they would have mitigated that. But here they are, they're thick brush, and they're walking right next to it. Some piece of shit jumps out, grabs them, pulls them in. You need to be kind of aware of your surroundings. So, what deters people? Well, one is noise, and they're always telling you, if you can, make a lot of noise. Scream. Most of you know how to scream, but unless you practice screaming, it's going to be a pretty lightweight scream. You could try to. Some of this stuff is good. I'm in the car. Maybe you're watching this in a car, or however you are. Start screaming and see how loud it is, and then work it up. Can I do this? Maybe I can. So I got a pretty good voice, pretty deep voice. So if I'm going to scream, I'm going to go, yeah! Well, that's not bad, but that might not be enough. What most of you don't realize is all of you have a deep, dark core that goes back to the beginning of time, when you were fighting for your life every day, living in a jungle environment or whatever area it was that found you operating amongst all kinds of threatening environments. The kind of security that we enjoy today never existed before. And it'll get better because we're all getting serious about it finally. But what you'll find is if you start working it, ah! 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 You start making noise. First of all, it's startling. They're not going to expect it. I understand I have more voice than you do, more than likely. But you play with that a little bit, and you'll find that, because what's going to happen is you're going to run out of breath. Like the way I'm screaming, you can only do that for so long, and then you can't catch your breath and you don't scream. So what you want to do is not take time to build up to it, but to have that baby tucked away as a reserve energy that you can manifest. So the first thing you're doing is you're creating some noise that would hopefully grab some attention from a passerby. The next thing you got to look at is how they grab you. Most of the time, when you're being assaulted, they're going to be trying to wrap their arms around you, and assuming he's not punching you yet. Most of the girls that come away from these things aren't really beat up. They just surrender. They get to the point where they realize that, I'm fucked and there's nothing I can do about it. Let's mitigate it so that I don't get hurt too bad. And that's, if you go past the point where you believe you have a chance to defend yourself, then maybe what you should consider is making the best of it. And that's almost always by surrendering. For 9 out of 10 guys, it's going to diffuse them, because part of what they're looking for is the power. Been a lot of women who talk guys out of it just because they surrendered to it. Why? Why are you doing it? By no means am I saying that you should surrender. What I'm saying is that you should have a bunch of options based on all the skills that you bring to the table. That's why I keep telling you, go to the closest martial arts training center and learn some skills. So I'm going to try and teach you some, that might work for you. And this will be good, and this will make you a better girl, just on general principles. Buy a heavy bag. They're really cheap. You can buy a heavy bag in a stand for under $200. And a heavy bag is a punching bag, weighs 100 pounds. There's no need to get a custom one that's bigger than that. A traditional bag, heavy bag, is 100 pounds. You can play with punching it and stuff like that, and all that's going to add to your attributes. But the one thing that I want you to realize that it's good for is leaning into pushing that 100 pounds. So you're used to, we're talking about, I don't know what the average weight of a girl is, let's say 130 pounds. And for some of you, you'll go, what? I'll never weigh 130 pounds. And some of you would say, oh, wow, that'd be good. You almost got to bet that he's bigger than that. He has more mass than that. He's thinking containment and pulling you back. What he's absolutely not prepared for is you coming at him. Shift. Now you're screaming, ah! And you come at him, use your forehead. Your forehead's a vicious, vicious weapon if you're serious about it. And by the time you're doing this kind of screaming, this kind of monster energy, you pull this monster out of your ass and turn him loose on this piece of shit, okay? The playing with the 100-pound bag is going to get you used to moving weight that you're not used to doing. So what you want to be doing is coming into him, pushing him back. What you want to do is knock him down. And there's a real good chance the first time you do this, you'll knock him down. And then get the hell out of there. Don't lock in. You think you got him disabled, kick him a couple extra times. It'll give him a chance to catch second wind. Be screaming. Be creating a disturbance in the neighborhood. And most of all, put some distance between the two of you. So, the guy grabs you. The first thing you do is you start screaming with gusto. Not please, please, please. Fuck that. Come at him. Let a core of anger come out of you. Say, fuck you. You're not going to do this to me, you piece of shit. And start headbutting him. You may have a couple of marks. You'll catch him in the teeth or something like that. Make that okay. The nose is wonderful. If you can headbutt him in the nose, there's a real good chance that you'll at least make his nose bleed. You might even break his nose. And now you got things that are going to allow him to be traceable. Because you want to, if possible, while you're getting out of there cleanly, you want to be creating a situation with him that says when you describe him and the injuries that he now has, the powers to be, the law enforcement guys, are going to have a means of identifying this guy. And if you do a really good job, he's going to have to go to a hospital. And this is where we're now going to talk about a really good job. Assuming everybody had the same skill, it's pretty much understood that the bigger guy has an advantage. Just wear the smaller person down. You're not going to lock in for that kind of duration. The single most vulnerable place that a person has, and the one that's going to cause him or her to get medical attention, is if you can fuck with their eyes. You see this kind of a roll where the fingers are extended? I want you to get a bucket, about that big around, about that high, and fill it with rice. To begin with, you might wear some tight leather gloves or plastic, just something, because what's going to happen when you start punching this rice, it'll tear up right where the fingernails are, you know. And if you can avoid that, you want to avoid that. But the idea is to make your fingers strong enough by punching straight down into the barrel. You're sitting there watching TV, you got this damn thing by your side, and you punch down into the barrel. And the first couple of times you do it, it'll barely go in there. But after a while, you'll start getting a feel for it. You'll start getting, it's going to become a game with you. Well, how far into this damn thing can you punch? Those of you who are really, really zealous will get to the point that you can actually bury yourself up to your arm with a single thrust. Ah! The beauty of this thrust is you can throw it from any angle. This way, that way, this way. You go for his eyes. No fucking around. There's no time to be nice to this piece of shit, to consider, well, I might blind him forever. Tough shit. You're going to be trying to rape a woman. You're entitled to be damaged forever. She's been given permission by the system to be that says you can fuck him up as much as you possibly can, and the whole world's just going to pat you on the ass and say, good job. Make yourself able to effectively do that. And this is so beautiful, because even if you don't have any skills, you can, well, of course, I've been doing this forever, so, but first time if you did it against this thing I'm beating, you might break a finger or two. What you're trying to do is to have an available weapon that can't be taken away from you because it's attached to you, and that is so fluid that no matter how he grabs you, you can work toward his eyes. Now, granted, he's going to go into a maximum defense mode, but with any luck at all, you're going to catch him by surprise so much. He's just not. They all think you're weak, you know. Little girls fucking just grab them and do what the hell you want. That's the headset that these guys operate from. Well, you're not. Most of you, by the time this happens to you, you're either a young adult or you're a teenager, or now you're actually a real life person. You're 23, 24 years old. You've got strength. I don't hit women, and I would hope that all the men that you know don't hit women. But when my wife and I were in our divorce mode, and again, remember I said I'm just scary guy, right? We were having some serious heated arguments, or discussions better, and she punched me right between the eyes. She hit me so hard that my glasses split and flew off. And I took her down to the ground and was sitting on her chest in about a second. And I didn't slam her, I carried her down. And I set myself on her. I wasn't sitting just to immobilize her for a minute. And I said, look, babe, I know we're having some issues here, but we don't hit each other. Women, when they hit, they hurt. You guys are strong, so you hurt when you punch. Keep that in mind. Most guys aren't expecting it, and like I say, she understood. She didn't want to get in a punching blow with me, so without hurting her, I was able to dissuade her from doing that anymore. And she said, she looked at me, she says, I really didn't have much of a chance, did I? I said, no, chance was not on your list in this particular equation. You need to accept that. Chance is not on your list if you try and do it in a conventional fashion. The way chance happens for you is when you erupt with a violence that this man is not prepared to deal with. And I promise you, none of them are prepared to deal with it. I'm just pulling in here to a dollar store. I got to get some stuff, but I'm going to finish this because we're pretty close. I can only say so much about this stuff. And then as we get some feedback, assuming that we do, I was telling you about this. I haven't gotten a lot of responses on these videos. I accept that. Sooner or later, there's billions of you guys out there. Somebody's going to say, this guy really knows a lot of shit, and his intentions are pure. His intentions are to enhance your life. My life's fine. I don't need any enhancement to make my life a beautiful thing. My job is to take some of this leftover stuff that I have and give it to you so you can help enhance your life. We talked about that a little bit before. Single most vicious weapon that you have to use against a potential rapist are the tips of your hands with your fingers extended. Do the rice because it'll give it strength. It won't be a wishy-washy thing when you hit him. And understand, no matter how he grabs you from behind, here, boop, boop, boop. He's got to put his head somewhere. If it's right here, back here. Work around loose. Kick him elbows. In other words, become a dervish. You heard the term a whirling dervish? It's just got energy coming at you and it's all attacking you. Spit in his eyes. You wouldn't think what a disruptive thing that is. You spit in his eyes, he's not going to be able to see for a while. And it's irritating. They have to get it out. Second he tries to do that, now he's vulnerable again. In the eyes, in the eyes, in the eyes. As soon as he backs off, get the hell out of there. Call the cops. Sick him on his ass. There's a real chance he's going to have to seek medical attention. If you're any good and lucky, you'll pop his fucking eye out the first time you hit him. Boop! You'll be laying on his cheek. You know, it's not just in. It's got a thing. It'll be laying on his cheek. And if you want to really, really be a bitch on your way out, do this. It's a hammer, not a punch. You got no. His head is way up here. You gouge him in that damn thing's laying on his cheek. Smash him on the fucking cheek right there, and take that eye away from him. You want to play? Make him pay the price for the game that he's playing. That it's not just a girl who suffers. It's not just a woman who's a victim. And if you guys are still being victims years and years or months even after this, you get raped, you should be coming back up fighting. If you want to survive with style. Is that mandatory? No. You can become weak, you can surrender, and you can take your chances that he's a sweetheart. Well, a lot of girls who've done that will tell you, it didn't work out too well. Because it turns out he's really a disgusting piece of shit, and he has nothing but evil intentions toward you. He wants to hurt you, he wants to degrade you, he wants to make you feel like he feels, like a piece of shit. Because nobody who's got his shit together does that, girls. You gotta put in your mind, who's the guy who rapes? He's a loser across such a spectrum that, you know, if it weren't so pathetic, it would be a joke. Just how far from being a quality human being those people are. The boys drinking around, that was good. No, it wasn't, guys. You were so fucked. And with any luck at all, we collectively, the system, are gonna come down on those guys. And it begins with you girls stopping it. You want to carry a weapon? I don't care. I'm just talking to you about you don't have a way to defend yourself. I mean, you got a small pistol in your purse and the guy grabs you, turn around and just shoot him. Here, you don't have to worry about it because he's in active attack. You know? Send him home. Don't fuck with him. Don't get into sparring bouts with him because that's where his superior strength is going to take over. You got to look at this for what it is. An immensely, potentially horrific tragedy is about to happen. Relative to you. Whatever happens to him, that's just comeuppance. So we don't worry about anything that happens to him. Just what happens to you. I've been doing these, and I've been thinking, what am I going to tell you? How do we take it out of dialogue into let's do the real shit? Let's give you some tools that'll work. Play with the heavy bag. What you'll find is, you'll start punching it, go to the dojo, like I said, get a little martial arts instruction, and all of a sudden, you're going to grow a whole new girl. Remember I told you, every time you add a skill, you become more a person? That kind of stuff incorporates a whole bunch of skills. It's not just one skill you acquire. If you can start pushing that 100-pound bag around and then stopping and push it, smack it, push it, smack it, to where you develop a punch that's strong enough to maybe stop a bag of 100 pounds that's coming this way, stop it dead in its tracks. That's what strong men can do, and strong women too. And it's not necessary to stop it, it's just necessary to impact it enough to where you get the feeling where you get a comfort for delivering a blow. Most of you, if you punch with any real enthusiasm, you'll break your hands because you don't know how to punch. Close your knuckles, close your fist up. This is different. If you're going to punch with a closed fist. If you're going to do a hammer, with a closed fist. But if you're going to take his eyes out, extended fingers. I love you guys. I hope you see that when I talk to you. I hope you see the energy that I put between these things that I share with you. The one way we're going to take the wind out of the sails of these guys who prey on women is by starting to hurt them really bad. To where now when the guys are in the bar, oh, did you hear about that asshole Billy? He likes to rape women. Some girl took his eyes out. Wow. If you don't think that sends a ripple through the boys, I can't think of anything better. It's even better than shooting them. Because now there's an honest horror in the mind of people who think that they might lose their sight. You know, if you ask yourself, what if you had to give up a sense, what would it be? You know, it's almost never, nobody chooses sight, because sight is tied to everything that you do. Not that the other parts, but you can live without the sense of smell. You can live without the sense of taste, but not without sight. Well, you can. I mean, there's blind people surviving all the time. But that's a circumstance that they don't have control over. That points out how adaptive we are as human beings. We can live with anything. But the thing that concerns people most is their vision, assuming that they have vision. So, I don't want to beat a dead horse. I'm going to want to listen to this and see how it came out. But remember, the best defense you have is gouging out his eyes. Everything else is secondary and subservient in its potential power to get you out of that box. And then put distance between the two of you. Everybody's got a phone. Get on that phone right away while you're running out of town and call the cops. Call 911. Tell them some guy just tried to rape you. You managed to squirm out of it. You think you might have gouged him in the eye so they know what they're looking for. And then go get checked out and make sure you're not hurt. And resume your life. I hope you don't ever have to use these kind of things. I hope that from this moment on, your life will just be a joy because you're prepared for it. And that's another thing that rapists can sense, is if you're prepared for it. Very few girls with black belts in karate get raped. You find that they almost never even get assaulted, because guys, everybody has this, but it's more pronounced in guys, have this awareness of what they're up against when they look at them. Okay? I like the term straight razor toting. Badass straight razor toting woman. But leave the straight razors at home. Just have that specific air about you that says, don't be messing with me, you piece of shit. I will fuck you up. And that's passable in neglect. That's what I do. Some guy starts giving me a look, I just look at him. He looks at me. That's what we do. You look at each other. And you see first, you want him, will he cower? Does he pull back? Does your gaze cause him consternation? If it does, he's not going to mess with you. Because these kind of jobs, these rape jobs, are supposed to be effortless. You know, we just grab her and overpower her and do whatever the hell we want with her and then throw her out in the garbage. Don't let them throw you out in the garbage. Hurt them real bad, go get help. I love you guys.